Some of the clips in this video have a ticking or a clicking sound in them. That's my fault. I didn't know it, but if you hold your finger across the microphone on this video camera, it causes a ticking or clicking sound. You know, it's a new video camera. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to, so kind of ignore it for now. I'll watch my fingers in the future. Well, greetings once again from the corner on the deck. It's been a long time since we've been out on the deck together in the corner. For those of you who follow my vids, you know that my camera recently crapped out, and it's been a couple of weeks, you know, trying to decide on what kind of camera to buy, and then finally ordering it, and then finally getting it in, and then learning how to use it. And this is my first attempt at using our new camera, and everybody gave me suggestions on what kind of camera to buy. I really appreciate that, because I want you to know that, I mean, all of my subscribers that gave me suggestions, it was a good deal, because I went out and I researched every single suggestion. I really did. And I discounted some because they wouldn't have worked with me. I'd have broken the camera too easily. And then others, you know, they were not bad, but the price might have been too high. And I kept narrowing it down and narrowing it down, looking at everybody's suggestions. I mean every single one. And it finally came down to the camera that you're now watching me on. And it was, and this suggestion came from Queez M8, QWEEZ M8. I don't know his name. You know, some people don't tell me their names; they just give me their YouTube handle. But he recommended the Sony Bloggy Touch. Well, I looked at that thing, and right away I said, you know, that is the kind of camera I'm talking about. You know, like the Flip Ultra HD, same size, only not as thick, because it has the Sony Bloggy Touch has a built-in battery, a rechargeable. I'm not too crazy about that, but you know, it's like our cell phones, you know. Whereas this one, you remove this cover and put a couple of AA batteries in there, and you know, when they wear down, you just pop them out, pop new ones in, you keep going. Whereas this one here, you got to stop and recharge it. Like I said, I'm not too crazy. It has a couple of drawbacks, but overall, I think the price was right. It's the same size as this. Unfortunately, for full screen recording, you have to record it in the horizontal position. Whereas this one, all I had to do is hit, you know, just hit a button, hold it upright, do my filming, zoom in, zoom out. The Sony Bloggy Touch, you have to do it horizontally. This one did not have an autofocus. For those of you who complain to me all the time about no autofocus, you'll be happy to know the Bloggy Touch has an autofocus. So that's what we're going to be using. I want everybody to know that I am back in the business now, and I hope to get this video uploaded tonight. I want to show you what I'm doing with the radio, or what I have been doing during the time I've been gone. So for all of you who gave me suggestions, I greatly appreciate it. I really do. The cameras with the flip open doors, you know, the flip open view screens, they wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes around me, because you know, I got to be able to move it from hand to hand. And right-handed operation, I would have had to constantly be looking over what I'm doing. My hands would have gotten in the way. It just wouldn't have been cool. If I take this camera, this Sony Bloggy Touch, and I film it in the vertical position, the end result is black bars on each side of the video that you would get. It'd be kind of like a scrunched deal. That I don't like. I don't know why Sony would do that. It doesn't make any sense. And but this one, by the way, this camera still works fine. I just can't transfer the data, or I can't transfer the video from the camera to the computer. It films great. I think it's a USB connector problem, but it doesn't matter. It was time for a new one. I needed one with autofocus and a few other things. So that's it. We're back in business. I appreciate you all hanging in there, waiting for me to make my mind up. You know, I couldn't let myself get in a hurry on this. It was going to cost a couple of $100. I wanted to make sure the one I got was as close to the one that I was really wanting, and I think we've done it. So to QWEEZ M8, Queez M8, thank you very much for recommending that. Very good suggestion. And by the way, Sony's Japanese product, you know, Nowadays made in China. It's incredible, isn't it? Okay, let's move on to the radio chassis and see what's been going on in that arena. As a reminder, this is what we had when we first started this project. Looked pretty mangy under there. Real bad, as a matter of fact. Well, here's what we have now. Everything has been replaced on this thing with the exception of the dial light wires off the band switch. Everything else is done. This thing was such a mess. Every component and every wire was bad, so I had no choice but to replace everything. And one more thing we have yet to replace is an adjustable trimmer cap, a mica cap that goes here. Now, the original one was broken, and I'll turn it around to show you what we're talking about. It looks like this one right here. You're going to give me a chance to use the autofocus. Let's see if it works. The autofocus isn't working too good. There we go. It looks just like that one right there. It's a big sucker. And it was held in by bolts, or actually rivets to begin with. And I drilled them out. But it looks exactly like that one. It's a big baby. And it mounted on the outside of the chassis. And it was adjustable. It's just a trimmer cap. Well, it was broken, and there's nothing I could do about it. So I had to come up with something else, and that is to buy a new trimmer cap like this, one of these little babies. So, the question came, well, this is totally different from the original. How on earth am I going to mount that thing to where the screw head is available with a screwdriver to do my trimming when it comes time to do the alignment? So I thought about it, and I came up with a piece of this hard plastic crap. I don't even know what it's for. I found it somewhere and down in the bowels of my desk, and I cut a piece out, and I came up with a kind of sort of a prototype mounting board to mount that trimmer cap here using these standoffs, or these jack stands, these jack lugs. I can't remember what they're called, to mount them there. So because one side of that trimmer cap gets grounded, the other side gets, hooked to this white wire right here, right there. Anyway, after I, cut and drilled and cut and drilled and cut and drilled, I finally came up with something that I think will work. So the prototype was discarded, and another one was cut, nice and clean this time. And I mounted the trimmer cap on it, except for one end. This is going to be the grounded end, this thing right here. This other end will be mounted to the bottom jack stand or jack lug. I can't remember what they call those things. Jack standoff. I just call them standoff. They're jack something or other. Anyway, let me go ahead and show you how I came up with that idea. These two pins, by the way. Let me get a little closer here. I love this autofocus if it works again. Come on, let's get a little autofocus here. These two pins right here and right here, they're just the mounting pins. I drilled a couple of holes, bent them over to hold this plastic to the bottom of the trimmer cap. This thing in the center right here, that's the adjustment screw. That thing right there. So I had to make room for that. So this end will be grounded to the chassis, is what it calls for in the schematic. The other end comes through here, this plastic, and the wire will be soldered to it, that white wire. And then this last hole right here at the bottom is the hole that mounts the entire mechanism on the bottom of the chassis. So this mounts it at the top, this mess right here, and this one mounts it at the bottom. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. It's a little hard to get used to this new camera. I'm not used to holding a camera horizontally. Okay, here it is, mounted in the chassis. And the top part right here is the grounded part. I got it connected directly. I haven't got the nuts on yet though. I've got it connected directly to the jack stud there, whatever they call them. And the other one is way down yonder, down there. That comes through the plastic right there. So I'll be soldering the wire here. All right, we got her done. We got her mounted in. There's a ticking sound. whenever I play back these videos, there's a ticking sound, and it's something in this building I'm in. I don't think it's the camera. I went outside and filmed outdoors, then brought it back in and listened to it, and the ticking sound was not there. So it's picking up something in this building. I'm sorry about that. At least that's what I think. Anyway, so put up with it for now till I can figure out exactly what it is and try to eliminate it in the future. The wire has been soldered on this lug right here. Get down there and get another close-up for y'all. And there it is. She's been soldered on right there. And this is all tight. Everything's tightened up now. So, but you know, it's still a little bit too close to that nut down there. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and take a little bit of liquid tape, maybe. Kind of put it down there around the top of that nut there. Kind of isolate it from that solder point. So let me work on that. Well, that's it. I've got the liquid tape in there. She's well insulated. You know, if this thing doesn't work, well, it's an easy removal and an easy fix. Now, from the other side, it does give me, I can see I can get to that screw right there. It's a little bit offset from the hole, but that's the best I can do. But I can still get to it with a screwdriver to do a, you know, little adjustment on it. It'll work fine. Alright folks, we're about ready to flip this baby over and start putting some stuff on the top side. But I can't do it quite yet. There's one more thing we have to do. Now I've gone through and followed the schematic and everything, and you know, put everything where it's supposed to, ran all the wires close to the chassis, did, you know, whatever I could to make this thing better than it was when I received it. And we already know how bad that was. So now it's time to double check my work. And I have taken a schematic. I'm going to use this orange felt tip pen right here. And I'm going to go over the schematic wire by wire. And I'm going to follow it through on the chassis, component by component, and make doubly sure that I did it right. And I can tell you already I found one mistake. This resistor right here, you can barely see it down there, is a 6,000 ohm. I couldn't quite make it out in the schematic, and then I blew it up, and finally I was able to find out that that's a 5,000 ohm resistor. So I need to change that from a 6,000 to a 5,000. And you can see I blew up the schematic nice and big, and I've already started putting in my orange lines. And we've got quite a bit of it done already. We're just following along, just like I showed you before, just line by line. And when everything is orange, with the exception of what needs to be mounted on the top side of the chassis, then we'll be ready to flip it over. Okay? Last but not least, for those of you who don't know what a Sony Bloggy Touch is, this is the 4-hour model. It's got 8 gigabytes. It has its own hard drive. I don't have to worry about SD cards, which I like. I don't like messing with SD cards. You know, I sometimes fumble and drop them. It'd be just my luck, I'd drop them on the ground, step on them with my foot while I'm trying to find it, you know, and be out $20-some a pop. So anyway, this will give me 4 hours of record time. They have a 2-hour model. It's a 4 gig, but I wanted to go, you know, the Flip Ultra was 2 hours. Nah, I only used all 2 hours just one time, but what the heck, I said, you know, I'm getting older, I deserve a 4-hour one, so I went ahead and got it. There's only 3 buttons on this camera. There's this button right, let me see if I can find it, this button right here at the bottom by my thumb. That's the record and stop video button. Everything else is touchscreen. Everything is touchscreen. The other 2 buttons are the on-off button, of course, and a button that I can take still photos. Like right now I could reach up and hit the still photo button and take a picture of what I'm looking at, and it wouldn't interfere with the video at all. I really like that. But it's a little awkward. I'm hoping that ticking noise you're probably hearing is actually in this building and not the camera itself. That'll mean another delay, because I'm not going to tolerate that. I paid too much money to have a camera going tick 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 in the background. Anyway, I kind of liked it. It's light, it's handy dandy, and I just wish it had the non-rechargeable batteries, but what the heck. And the autofocus is real nice. So, seems to be working okay. So I'll tell you what, we'll just go ahead and cut this video off here, and give me a chance to play around with it a little bit more. I'm beginning to learn what buttons or what functions on the touchscreen does what. So I'm glad to be back. I hope you all are glad I'm back. And next time I hope to have that schematic all colored in orange, and we can flip this baby over on the top and start putting some stuff on. So thanks for being so patient. Until next time, this is John.